So, more updates. How else are the rest of you in life? What's going on besides Christina?
I just want sun. You can just send me a little bit of sunshine.
Is it
Just a
cold?
light.
Cold and
It
wet?
is humid and cold. Yeah.
Humid
Yes.
and cold.
Clammy.
Humid and cold.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. The only thing worse than that is hot and humid. But
I actually think I'd rather have hot and humid at this point in time. That's okay though. You know, if that's the worst thing that's happening is that we have very cloudy weather and we don't see the sun, we'll be okay. The good thing is that we've noticed that when we have more clouds, the air quality actually is slightly better. So,
Oh, sure.
So we're gonna praise for that.
has it been is it smoggy there?
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's China's largest city.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
And Christina, I missed the beginning of this conversation, but I think we talked about it last time. Was this a missions trip of some sort or vacation?
No, my husband is teaching here for the semester.
Got it.
Teaching at a university. Obviously, we are hoping to show who we are as we can find but it's an interesting dance. This is a city where nobody really speaks English. It's not it's a huge city, but not a lot of foreigners. So we don't really encounter anybody who speaks English. We do a lot of smiling and pointing and but the general consensus is that if you're white and American, you are part of the family, and you have to be sort of careful because there are rewards to turn us in.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a fine dance. Are you really interested, or are you just trying to make money on my head? So.
Yeah.
How are you, Jerry?
Doing well, thanks, Judy. Yeah, just got back from a trip to DC with our eldest daughter, and long weekend. It was first time for me in DC. Just really enjoyed that. Very nice.
It's a great city.
Yeah. It's just amazing how much there is to see there. So, Judy, share the good news.
My daughter passed all 3 exams.
Oh, that's great.
That's one.
Board certified, all 3. Yep. And
board certified in what?
In critical care as a veterinarian.
Oh, okay. Oh, fantastic.
Yep. So she had three tests, and usually the people taking the test will miss at least one, if not 2. And sometimes all of them, but she passed all 3, and she gave me the credit.
Did she?
Yeah, because I set her up on this study plan, and she came and lived during the week with me. So I spent the summer taking care of her, and so I got the credit for it. And because I had read somewhere a long time ago how to do the most effective studying and blending it with exercise and specific food and all of that. So she was put on a diet, exercise plan, and a study plan. And I would spend anywhere from 2 to 4 hours quizzing her. And thank you very much. I just had dinner delivered.
Is that your trusty extern?
Yeah, it's Matt. You want to say hi real quick?
Good day, Max.
Hey,
This is Judy Seidel from
Oh, yes, I met
ICCP.
Judy in St. Louis before.
Jerry and Christine.
Hi, man.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
I don't actually know where it came from, but any bottle you see is fair game.
Do you want a glass? Or maybe like.
I always want a glass. You never want a glass. But anyway, she's put on Pinterest on Instagram. My mom really did know what she was doing, which is nice because you can't ever hear enough of that when you have kids. So
yeah,
nice. So what else? Judy Steidel, how are you doing?
Doing well. We've been putting in a lot of hours to get the ICCP's website up. So we have a website designer now.
Good.
And the cool thing is that many of the pages that were with Peacemaker Ministries will come back online. So faithful to that promise. And so we've got about 50 pages going in now and quite a few more to add. So I'm looking forward to having that happen and having that checked off the box for 2018. A lot of things being checked off.
That's great.
Yeah.
So did you get a phone call from a woman named Jackie?
Yes, I
About-
did.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank
good.
you.
Yep. Super.
In fact, we've had a couple of conversations, so thank you.
Yeah.
That's going to go forward is just to check that out.
So Max, how are you?
Hanging, doing good. My wife and my junior in high school get on a plane at 6 a.m. tomorrow to fly down to Lexington, Kentucky, and check out a university that my daughter is really excited about. So
What's it called?
it's Asbury.
Okay.
Oh,
Yep, Asbury.
I know people who have gone there.
Yeah, Christian school, and they have a program called Equine Facilitation Therapy, and it is a blending of equine training, horse training, and psychology, and it trains. It's a degree to help people become equine therapists or equine people therapists. So working with horses who are healthy or horses who need rehabilitation, and certainly working with people who need rehabilitation and putting the two of them together. They have a stable of 90 horses in this university. And this is their weekend that they offer as an open house. One of the pioneers of this kind of Christian ministry is a ministry called Crystal Peaks in my hometown of Bend, Oregon, as it turns out. And that principal, that founder of that is the guest speaker at this event. So my daughter's read all the books and is really into it, and so it's pretty neat. So we're letting them go down there for coming back late Saturday night. So I got the young girls, and just going to have a fun couple of days.
I used to live in
Bad
Lexington.
for people, ex-convicts, people who have been incarcerated. It's really interesting, the power of that animal connection.
It's more and more, there's a huge growing literature. It's kind of exploding on especially secular psychotherapy, and they're looking for, they've caught on to it, but they know they're not specialists, so they're looking for more they don't care whether it's Christian or secular. They're looking for organizations that they can refer clients to for everything. Convicts, PTSD, of course, typically mentally, emotionally or mentally challenged, cognitively challenged adults.
Eating disorders.
Yeah, disorders. Yeah, I mean, there's some that have been traditionally known to be helpful, but now they're finding it for more and more and more. So
Okay.
it's kind of a cool. We'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes.
Okay. Well, anybody else have anything to add?
No.
Well, let's pray. I'll pray for us. Father, thank you for this group. I pray for Paul and Bruce wherever they are. Would you watch over them, and for Matt? And I just pray you'd give us wisdom as we approach just a matter of days or weeks from a launch on the certification. Would you grant us wisdom and the ability to see and understand? And all this, Lord, I ask in Christ's precious name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So to the agenda. Let me pull up my file here. Thank you, Max, for organizing all of the documents. I greatly appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. So on the agenda, couple things that I think we need to finalize or consider is, one is something we talked about last time, which is the flow of information, to finalize that, and then review the task force participants. And I think it's time to probably move on. I think we have enough people, but I want to get your thoughts on it as well. And then, so we'll discuss the composition, possible recruitment of additional task force members. A letter that Christina contacted me earlier today and asked if she could help with something. So she's working on a draft of a letter that we can begin, that'll spell out what we're doing and what we decide to do. And this call will be instrumental in us figuring out what those pieces are. We'll talk about how to integrate all of that with the process Judy has researched. The stakeholder IP agreement, I think we finalized that, but we didn't finalize that as the last time. Is that right, Max?
We did finalize. It was unanimously passed. What we needed to describe was how we were going to collect it from task force members.
Gotcha. Okay. And then we'll discuss it. We may not need our full time, and then of course the minutes as well. So anyway, Max and Judy have been working to reach people to fill in the gaps. If you remember, there were several task forces where we only had like one person. And so if you pull up the task force participants, you're going to see that there's still a few people who've not responded, and some have declined, and we have a few holes in there. So anyway, to look at that, does anybody have any new information, Judy or Max, about the people in the pink blocks, people we've reached out to but have not heard from?
Yeah, I have no responses. I've not heard anything passed on these individuals at all.
Judy, do you know anything different than what we landed on?
No, the people who I sent to Max really were not exactly sure what they were getting into, but they were very, very willing to help. And I was telling Max how helpful it is to see where those gaps are, and I'll be thinking about who we might have not thought of yet for participating in that.
Okay. Well, I think we have enough to get going. Mm-hmm. So, but I want to know what you guys think. Do you think we have enough where we have at least 2 people on every team, and sometimes 3 or 4? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, just to start off, I think that beginning now is a good idea. I think people will be going into a busy season here, and being able to hear what they can be looking at, researching, and praying for, I think will be a healthy thing.
Say it one more time.
Well, we're moving into a busy holiday season.
Yeah.
So I think that having the time now to be able to pray, research, find out exactly what this looks like for them will be good. They may not be able to really get really engaged until the first of the year, yeah. But I think they'd like to pray about it. I think they might be very, very curious as well. So,
how many people do you think are on the fence? Because several of these people I don't think have questions. They're just ready to get going. Do you think?
Max, you might have some contact with them, but for me, I think it was just a matter of time. How much time do they need to allot? And that's what it was not necessarily that they were on the fence because of the task, but just the time.
Yeah, I agree. There's only one. Cole came back late last week after I told him about the time, and he said that 4 to 5 hours a month is just too much of a stretch for the next season, next few months for him. Everyone else fully understood, and of course they're curious as to the process and what it actually plays out to be. But they're willing to throw in. I think from everything I saw, I think we have a window to start engaging with an orientation before the holidays, though I would hesitate to wonder if much actual curriculum work will get done this side of the new year.
Yeah, I think if we can do the orientations in December, I'm taking the whole month of December off to catch up on these important things. So if we can do the orientations, I think, for a January kickoff, I think that would make sense.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think that's good. So
I do have a question. about the task forces. So one question is that I'm working with a group of people. I call them the cohort, and they're just a very talented group of people that I mentor, coach, and so forth. They are not certified with the exception of Christina, but they are very passionate. We had talked at one point about using non-certified people to fill in some of the holes. What are your thoughts about me seeing if I can recruit some of those people? They're all in the CERT program except one, but they're pretty intelligent, passionate people. What do you think about me seeing if inviting non-certifieds to fill those spots?
Non-certifieds and not in the program, not in CERT program at all, or non-certified?
They're in the program. They're just not certified.
Yeah. Okay. And I think at one point we talked about possibly giving some type of credit for that. I'm not sure exactly whether we did or not.
Yeah.
But I think there's some value, or a lot of value, to non-certified, but in certification program with oversight. And so I guess it would depend on who their mentors are and whether the mentors would foresee them as being good candidates to help out in this process.
Judy, what are your thoughts?
Well, I know the individuals that you're thinking of, and they're exceptional. So, I mean, historically, the candidates have had just no holds barred. They've been able to participate in conversations and everything that the CCC have. We've just given an open door for that. So that's one point. And then the other point is that I think that good will come from their insights as well. And it's a great learning opportunity for them to meet other colleagues. I don't see, and if they did not have something to add, I think they'd be quick to recognize that and either do the research needed or be a great support. So I don't see anything wrong with it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to look to see if we can fill those last spots. I have a meeting tomorrow night, and I'll let them know we've got 3 blanks and several others that we just haven't heard back from people. When was the last time, Max, that like the Gliddens were contacted and Ted Brewer and all of that? What was the process to try to confirm those names?
That was April. Or I'm sorry, that was May following the conference.
We've not sent out anything since or contacted them by phone. Judy, did you call those people in the purple?
Well, just the ones that, just for the blanks that after our last meeting, I contacted them pretty quickly, and those are the only ones that I contacted. But I would be happy to send out something. Well,
I think these people were on the list then. So my question is, did they not call you back, or like a Frank Mylar, Ernie Baker, Ted Brewer did? I think they were on that list that you inherited, weren't they?
I could have contacted them. I think I understood that I was just supposed to fill the slots. So I might have missed. Well,
they were the slots because they were in pink. That's actually a slot. We put them in pink as here's where we think we should invite them, but anything that had color was an open slot. How many people did you call?
That would be a really good question. And if I had a keen mind, I would be able to tell you exactly when and who I called, but I just can't answer that. But if they're color pink and that was my list, then yes, I contacted them and they responded by email. I can look back to see what that date was.
Okay.
You want me to do that?
Yeah, and who was on it. So if these people have already been contacted by you and by me or by us, then we need to let them go and strike them off the list. If they've not been contacted and that was an oversight, then we still have to contact them.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Max, but I believe that their name is on there. I didn't put anybody in those empty slots until they said yes. And Max, is that your understanding as well?
I'm looking at the one, we did this September 5th. We did a number of rosters. All of these names were listed in pink on that roster. And from our meeting on the 6th, you were planning on contacting those in pink, so we could start. And then you started feeding me the responses that you got, and I started slowly taking them off of the pink from there.
Okay.
So all of these I'm looking at right now. I'm comparing the two from September to now, and they're the same one. They're the same names. As far as an earlier roster, I don't have in my folder. I don't have a.
So I contacted June, the end of June, beginning of July. So just tell me who I need to contact. I'll be glad to do it. Everybody in pink?
If you already have contacted them, then you don't need to. I just wondered if, I'm just asking you to confirm that you had contacted them.
Well, I believe I have, but I can go back into the emails and double check that. I contacted everybody who was on the list.
Okay. Was I copied on that?
This was the on the initial spreadsheet.
On Judy's contact when she agreed to take over.
It's in the draft minutes from September 6th.
No, was I don't think I was copied on any of those contacts with people. Did you contact them by phone or by email, Judy?
Yeah, I didn't have.
By email?
Email.
So I don't have an email, I don't think, from you. I don't think you copied me on anything.
I might not have.
So I don't have any way of knowing whether we just strike these people because of lack of interest.
Well, they all agreed, and they contacted. I'm sorry for the confusion. I'm thinking that the names were. I think that they all contacted Max. Are there names on here, Max, that you did not hear from that you?
These ones on pink are the ones that are still in pink were the ones that were on the roster prior on our September meeting that you were wanting to reach out to, and then you fed me a number of names, whether they were going to commit or not. I took them off of the pink. So these ones in pink that are still on here have been. We believe that you contacted them, but I never received any information from you that they had responded to you.
Okay, I'll get those emails to you because I do believe some of these people were saying yes. I'll just confirm with them and get back to you.
Okay, I see that D Quick, that Max, you sent me a question asking that D had a question for Judy on how much time.
There was that was one of the pending. Yes, that was one of the pending, but.
She asked that on September, you asked on September 18th, I responded to you that it was 4 to 5 hours maximum a month.
And I wrote
back if D Quick accepted or not, but I think that was in your.
I think that was one for me. Yeah.
No, I think it was Judy's, wasn't it? Judy asked you and you asked me. And
we did send it back. That's right. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where.
It's no worries. I'll just contact the ones in pink and just to verify so that we can move forward with their names on the list.
Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Can you copy me on those emails? So that way I can see what's going on. Okay.
There's a little, can I ask a little off topic, but Lori Stewart, should that have been Lori Stewart? And can somebody say what concerns she had and whether she was just not comfortable doing this? Or?
I can answer that. She is over the top busy. She has a new law practice now and is also teaching at a university. So she's just swamped. That was all. She's very, very supportive.
And then Steve Beck?
Same thing, just they're swamped. But they were very supportive.
Okay.
Looks like I missed one on the list. I should have put Jonathan Anderson and Judy Glidden also on there for participation unknown. So anything in
Oh,
the
yeah.
needs to be followed up. I would just do a short email, Judy, and just say, hey, we're finalizing our list. Can you please do a reply all so that we can get that done? So Christina is going to draft the letter, that first letter to go out to the task force people. And so I'm envisioning a number of orientations. Max, where maybe you and I could do one or two, or whoever wants to be a part of that. And then you can finish up all the rest, that just because it will just have basically a presentation to walk them through on here's what's involved, here's the process. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about, is what process do you think, we have an information flow, but what process do we think would be most effective to recommend that the task forces follow? What milestones, what specific structure should we teach them to follow?
Are you asking, Judy, how to basically how we should be teaching them to conduct the initial meetings and what format and what agendas to use?
Yeah, not only the initial ones, but all of them.
Yeah.
What do we want to train them to do so they can be effective task forces?
Well, it's a great question, Judy. I don't know, actually, if you have something in mind already, or if we're designing a process or the kind of information that.
Well, we already have gone over the job descriptions. We did that months and months ago, so we know what the job is. We talked about the what we want back from them, which is syllabi and 3 tests and a improvement plan. So we know that we're looking for 5 documents. So that we know. We want the syllabus to have their recommended reading. So we already talked about what we want from them. So what I'm asking is how do you think we should be structuring their orientation? We've already talked about and landed, I think, on what we're wanting from them. The flow of information sheet was the last piece of data. We talked about that in our last meeting and approved it. But how to report it, basically, this is what we want. Here's a sample syllabus. We want this from you. Here's how we want it. Send it to Judy first, and then Judy will make sure it standardized in its format, and then the OC will see it. So we've talked about the flow of information. We talked about what we want from them, because we want them to produce a work product, syllabus, 3 tests, and the improvement plan. Do you have that in front of you, everybody?
Yeah.
So, but I envision that we would just do Zoom meetings for each of the task forces. So there'd be 8 orientations that we do a PowerPoint presentation that talks about walks through the job descriptions. But I don't want to assume that I know exactly what we ought to do. It seems to go over the job description, the work product, and build in an accountability piece. So we have the OC members who are going to be sitting in on those. And so it seems like when we do the orientation, we need to have the OC member attending with their team. Introducing them to Zoom. Max, do you have thoughts here?
Yeah, I think the orientation will be helpful to keep them from feeling like a bunch has been dumped on them. But I think that there is benefit by December to have the templates for the lesson plans, the basic templates that we're asking for them.
Done. That was
Yeah.
done last March.
Right. What I mean is to drop those to them. Here you go. Thank you for participating. Here's a zipped folder of the documents and a date for the orientation where we're going to help you unpack all of this. And then we
Okay.
orient them all that at that time.
Okay, so just out of curiosity, if you're a person who has no idea what this is really all about, would it be best for you to get a bunch of documents and be potentially overwhelmed, or would it be better that we walk it through and then give it to them?
I personally, for me personally, if I got a zip folder and saying, hold on to that, don't dip into it yet, we wanted to make sure you have it, and we're going to go over it during our orientation. That way, if people want to open it up and look at it, they can, but they know that we are going to help explain everything. I mean, I'd rather have that for people who want to kind of open it up and look at it like the day of the meeting, like I tend to do. I like to look at that kind of stuff before I actually get to talk to people. I'm just one of those who visually and audibly learn. So if you're talking to me for the first time and now you're saying, and now based on this PowerPoint you just saw, we're going to launch the documents to you, it's going to take me a while to catch into those documents.
So you wouldn't think posting them on Zoom and walking them through the documents where they see them and do Zoom would be a better way to approach it when they can ask questions?
I want that to happen, but I would want the documents emailed to me with the announcement for the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with that. I'm one of those people who would look at it beforehand, at least to get acclimated to somewhat, get my bearings on it, and then the Zoom meeting afterwards following up. And if somebody decides they don't want to do that, they're not going to, they're going to wait till the Zoom meeting, they've got that option. But I think, Max, one of the things I think I heard you say initially was with the initial pouring out of that information, indicating don't open it yet, don't look at it. I think what you meant and what I heard afterwards is that they're going to have an invitation that if that's how they'd like to see it and what they'd like to do. Yeah,
right. Yep. The invitation, here are the documents. You can open if you want, but please understand, we're going to walk through every single one of them in our meeting together.
Christine,
Yeah, and I think,
are you still there?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, okay.
I am.
You want to weigh in? Love to hear your thoughts.
Well, yeah, I guess I'm thinking that maybe I just didn't hear. I think we kind of processing this aloud. I think the documents would make sense to come with the invitation to the Zoom meeting. Here's the documents. The Zoom meeting is on X, Y, and Z date.
Okay.
Having it as two separate things, I think, can confuse people.
Okay.
They can get lost in their email. But I think it's good to have them in advance, but with attached to some date or something so I can task it or I can put it someplace I know when I need it.
Okay.
So that I can open them beforehand.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation. I think it's good to have them because some people have difficulties opening files, and we can resolve all that before the meeting so everybody has them.
Can I just throw out something and get your thoughts on this? I can create a course for the task forces for simply the training on how to move through all the information. The information can be there, accessible, all parts of the training, or it can be slowly unfolded. But if it's there, then they can always go back and see the recordings of the orientations. And you can actually assign all the task forces at the same time an assignment to look at a particular video or training or this, and then make the announcements that the conference call or the Zoom call is going to be about these things, and they can just go to that link and see it there. It can come in email too. I mean, but I think having one spot where everybody can actually see it, go to it, and know where it's stored will be helpful. It would be something that could be repeated for phase 2 and phase 3, because sometimes the orientation will be similar. And I'd be happy to do that if it would be helpful.
Okay. Sounds like it's probably a good idea to do that. And so let's get Christina, if you could get that letter draft to me and we can finalize that, I think that will inform how we organize the documents online.
Um, could that go out with letterhead from the ICC?
What? The letter?
Mhm.
Yeah, everything that is being sent out is from the ICC.
Okay.
But we're going to have Christina draft it and us finalize it, and then you can be happy to send it out. Now, there's going to be communications that do not have ICC letterhead because it's too cumbersome to have you send every email, especially if they're asking specific questions. But this major email, I'm understanding that ICC Peace wants to own every major informational letter, and we're happy for you to send it out. But not every correspondence is going to be possible to have you send, because it could be a question to Max, where do I send this, or when is my deadline? And that's the sort of thing that we won't be including.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Christina, when can you get that draft to me?
I haven't even opened your email. So over the next couple of days, I will try to work on that.
Okay.
And if I have any questions, I'll get back to you on Max. But I'm still, since
It's
I haven't read it, I don't
basically-
really know.
It's basically a hi, how are you? We're really glad you're on the task force. Here are all the task forces and the people on them. And we are going to be inviting you to an orientation. And the orientation, you can read the documents at this link type thing. It won't be really long. It's not going to have a lot of the details, but we also need a spot in there that I think Max will need to set up doodles for each separate team, because each team is going to need to select a leader. Nobody volunteered except David Tyson. We need somebody to take responsibility to submit the documents. So somebody's going to have to step up in each group. And if they don't step up, then we need to decide how we're going to get that leadership. Is it going to be the OC member who takes responsibility, or do I need to hire Max to sit on each of those meetings and make sure that the work product is sent?
So do you want that? Do you want that in the letter as well, that we have to select a leader or not?
Well, they don't know. Apparently nobody likes the word leader. So I'm beginning to wonder if we should say clerk, secretary, or peon who will go do the extra 20 minutes of work or something.
We're going to use
But
the
do you
word.
want that in the letter? Facilitator, do
I
you want
think,
that in the letter?
that the agenda will be to orient them to the process and introduce them to each other,
Okay.
and help select a leader who takes responsibility for the document, finalizing
How
the
about,
document.
can we call it a facilitator?
Yep. You don't like the word peon, clerk?
I like peon.
With no
I love to, I'm happy to
authority,
be peon.
responsibility, or, yeah. Okay, I'm good with facilitator.
I was the scribe in my Marine Corps basic training company for the entire time of boot camp, and that's what they called them. And they call them scribbles now, but it used to be scribe had a more honorable ring to it. That was me.
Yeah, scribe isn't a bad word. I like that.
Mhm.
Yep.
I'm using that in a course so that we can have photos and archives. So just letting them know, Scribe lets them know that this is going to live on.
Yeah.
Mhm. All right.
Right. And so I don't want them submitting work to the website. I want information flowing one direction. Otherwise it's going to be a disaster, and I will resign, because I just cannot go find information. It's got to flow only one way. So I don't want them putting anything on a website, because if I have to go find it, Max can attest that it's going to be way too hard for me.
It takes a week to get down from the emotional roller coaster.
Yeah. So if it will flow one way, we'll place it up there, but I don't want them placing it up there.
So they oh, I see. On Office 365, that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they can gain information. We'll post learning points for them, they can take stuff away from it for their own learning, but they can't add anything on. Because if they do, then we're going to have information coming from every direction, and then I will have my heart attack, and then I will be out of it.
So they can, if it's a page like a wiki page, when they're having a discussion, that's going to be kind of an open discussion that you'd be able to just see what they're saying. But every other folder would be view only.
Well, view or download. If they want to download it, that would be fine, but not add.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll see what that looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, they can take all the information they want. They can post a note, like if there's a discussion group, but not add a document.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think your flow chart's beautiful, and it's gonna go just that way.
Yep. All righty. So Christina will get that in the next couple of days. I'll work on it, and then Max, help me with this, because you know what my schedule is, but I want to get it out to the OC via email and get all the edit suggestions ASAP. I'd like to even do that. Today is 24th. I'd like to get it out to the OC if possible in a week,
Sure.
and then have them get their edits back, us finalize it. And then Judy, are you done setting up all that stuff on the, what's it called again, Microsoft 360? Is that what it is?
Office 365.
Oh,
The only thing I have left to do is to verify the names that go into each task force. So when that's verified, then I give them permission to view and download and set up the wiki. So, and then an instruction video on exactly how it works, so that it should make it pretty simple. Those are the two things I have to do: the video and the names into the documents.
okay. So from an action item, Judy's going to send out a final email to the Pinks to see if we have any last minute stragglers. And I'm going to ask my cohort if any of them can participate. I think they'll bring a lot to the table. And then Christina is going to draft the letter. And then Judy will finish setting up the, did you say Microsoft 365?
Yes.
I thought we were thinking of Microsoft Team. Is that part of the 365 suite?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then what we need to do at that point is, I think that the OC is going to need to be trained on that. So our next meeting, for the next meeting item would be for you to train us on it. Is that doable?
Yes.
Okay.
Just give me a couple weeks notice before that. I guess we'll know.
Okay. And then, Jerry, besides me and possibly Judy, but besides me, you're likely to know more people than anybody else on the OC. I mean, Paul, of course. Is there, as you look at this list, are you seeing any misses? Have we missed asking people to be a part of this?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking of somebody specifically. When I took CERT training, it was with Steve Beck, and that was why I asked about him. Steve Beck and somebody else that was on with me. And I'll need to double check for his name, but I think it'd be an excellent candidate for working on this. Ted Brewer, I'm kind of surprised. Well, I mean, obviously I know Ted's situation with his wife passing recently and stuff, but I'm not sure what Ted has going on with his life. I could see him being a part of this. And Judy, so you're going to be sending emails or reaching out by phone? I'm thinking with Ted, it might be great to reach out by phone.
We've had some recent conversations with him, and he's feeling well. So
Okay.
I think that some of that wrenching loss has been, I think he's been working through that. So for speed, maybe I'll start with an email and then invite them to have a conversation.
Okay.
So you know Ted pretty well, Jerry?
Actually, not too. I met him in Escondido when we were doing a CCM training down there, and then we had a few conversations since then. But I wouldn't say I know him as well as probably Judy and Matt do. But it's somebody I would feel comfortable reaching out to.
Is there anything Jerry can do to help you, Judy, since you've got quite a few things on your plate?
Well, I think that the challenge is who is not aware of the opportunity, but might have a desire and expertise to participate. And
Well, I think that's an all group email, that goes to the whole CERT world. Are you feeling like that's a good thing to do?
I do, and I actually three things. Number one, that email that goes out to everyone will be a great update as to where the Re-envision project is. The second thing that I'd be happy to do is set up an opportunity for them to really give their 2 cents. They may not want to be on a committee, but they might have something that they want to add or something that they're guarded about. And if we have a place for them to dialogue about that, it may bring in some information that can be useful.
Okay, so I'm happy for you to do that. Can we see if Jerry can follow up with these pinks then, so you don't have everything on your list?
I might have a convenient email list for them. I can pass that on to Jerry, or Jerry, I can send out a quick email. I don't know what your schedule is.
It's pretty packed, but I'd be happy to follow up, and I think it'd probably be an initial email, but I'd probably be better at reaching out by phone. And I think as busy as I suspect most of us are, very busy. Sometimes I get an email and I'm thinking, okay, I want to respond to that. Let me put it on the back burner for now, and I'll get to it later because I want to devote more time to it. And then that later just doesn't come as often or frequently as I'd like it to come. And so I suspect a lot of us are in that boat, and I think a phone call might actually elicit some response or some communication earlier rather than later.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if you can send me that with phone numbers, that would be better.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I think that's great then. So here's what I have by way of action items is Jerry will follow up with the pinks. Christina will draft the draft. Judy is going to set up the Microsoft team and send out an APB, but not giving them access to Microsoft team, but just basically a short update. Here's where we are. We're launching in January, doing trainings in December. It's not too late. Let us know your thoughts and so forth. So I'll check with my cohort, and then I'll finalize Christina's draft. And
so I guess one of the things that would be helpful based on the task forces at hand is to have a 1-sentence or 2-sentence description about what the task force is focused on. And if we can put that in that large group email, then that gives them an opportunity to be thinking about what they have to contribute.
so you know enough about it to draft that, right? You understand enough of what we're doing?
I think so, and I will do my best. And how about if Jerry and I collaborate on that?
Well, I'd be happy to review it if you send me a draft.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. All right. Then
yeah. It'll be good for you to put your language on it just to make sure you know what's really happening here for the task forces. So what we're doing is we're educating them, and they're developing competencies on these, 8 different, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 different areas. So if you do that, then I wouldn't be wordy. I wouldn't go into it a lot, but enough to say that level 1 coaching is kicking off formally January. Okay. This has been a lot of setting up the structures and so forth. Training in December.
When do you anticipate that group email going out? When would you like to?
I'd like to see it go out next week.
Okay, all right. So Jerry and I will work on the pinks, and then is there any other thing that we need to wait for in regards to that email going out? The letter.
Yeah, the letter will be different than the all points bulletin. The APB that Judy writes, and I'll look it over, that'll be for the whole CERT network to try to recruit those final people and to update everybody so that they know it's coming. I think that's a good idea. But the draft that you do, Christina, will only go to the task force members.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so back to the agenda.
So Judy, can I ask a question? Just so if there was a space, not in Microsoft Teams, but if there was a space in ICCU that allowed them to think about something that they had that might be helpful, and they could upload it there, is that?
I would really not like to see that happen.
Okay, so what I would say instead is I would say if you have something that you feel would be a benefit, please email it to Judy.
Or to you if you're going to manage the site. We can, if people want to share information, if we can keep the flow in one direction, I promise you we'll serve people better.
Yes. So what works best for you?
Well, as far as, hey Bruce, as far as I'm concerned, I don't really care what they post. What I care about is their work product. So if everybody thinks this hokey little blog post is helpful, I don't care if they want to post it. Let them post it. But what I care about is the work product. So if everybody says, hey, you know, this article is wonderful, this book is wonderful, you know, whatever is wonderful, I'm okay with that. I don't actually care that much. But what I don't want to do is I don't want people posting stuff, because then that becomes their way of communicating data. And at that point, I'm already feeling my anxiety flooding me. So I think if we can control the flow, if you're going to run the site, let them send it to you and you can post it. And if you think it's heretical and it's terrible, then you can be the one that says to the people, you know, we don't think so. Or you can pick somebody on the OC to do it. But what I don't want is people doing, because then that becomes their form of communication. And I don't think it's going to, in the end, it's going to drive us crazy. That's my belief. But I'm sure that there's going to be good resources out there, and that is a wonderful thing to do. But this is where you want a quality control on it. You want to be able to recognize that you need to be able to put your stamp of approval on it. So if it's some weird theologically flaky, nobody needs to mediate conflict. Everybody should smoke ayahuasca in a tent and have a sweat ceremony. You're going to want, somebody needs to say no. So I can say no, but so can any of us say that. Does that make sense? Yeah. Not that I'm skeptical or untrusting, but I have heard ayahuasca, the benefits of ayahuasca, twice now in the last month. So and then of course, Max's deep conviction to the beauty of it.
Ayahuasca, just not Hiawatha, the Indian princess.
Right, ayahuasca. Yeah, see, I have to, drugs and all that is all up your alley. So
everybody has to have their specialty.
Yeah. So do you see what I'm saying? If it's a flurry of weirdness happening, I think it gets weird, and I think it'll bother people on the task forces for all this stuff being popcorned everywhere.
I'm still trying to figure out what the Song of Hiawatha has to do with it.
Oh, ayahuasca is the new conflict resolution process. You smoke dope, you sweat for 3 days, and you come out and you've had this mystical connection with God, and you're now at peace with the universe, you're at peace with God, you're at peace with your brother and your father and your sister and your mother, and everybody's happy, and all you have to do is use psychedelics in this
It sounds.
approved drug process in California.
I
Wow.
was going to say it sounds so California, but you're
Yeah.
saying it sounds like it's Missouri.
No, it's you guys.
Oh yeah, well,
So
Us
this,
Westerners are clean and straight, right, Max? But those Californians are.
Yeah.
so this is a real
except for
thing.
the crystal meth.
Oh, it's a thing. Oh, this is a thing.
How do you spell that?
How do you spell it, Max?
AYAHUASCA.
That's so weird that you know how to spell it. I don't even know how to say it, let alone spell it.
I might be 10% off, but that's just.
Pray for Max, everybody.
Yeah,
Pray
that's
for
just
Max.
in mind. I'm seeing things so much clearer now.
And you have harmony in your soul and with the universe and Mother God.
I do.
So I've now dealt with this twice this month. It's becoming a thing.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
who knew?
yeah. So we could, just in case, I'm just pointing out that weirdness needs to be halted and not everybody's input is equal.
Mm.
So to Christian.
I might suggest, I think it could happen organically. I'm a big fan of people who are willing to actually, if they have ideas in a process, that they're actually willing to put their skin in the game. And so for those who commit to the process and actually are part of a task force, they have the ability to post and actually communicate. Certified, anyone else can probably communicate in, but I also believe anybody who's actually willing to jump and be a part of the process will be able to develop their own network and bring in resources as well. So it's kind of like, don't really have a debate about the political scene unless you're willing to vote. Everybody's got a good idea, but until they're actually really to participate, because I mean, yeah, a task force is nice if we have 4 people, but we could, couldn't there be like 5 or 6? Is 4 the magic number we want to hold it to? If we get a lot of people who really want to participate and are seen by the committee as valuable.
Yeah. So I know, Judy, that I think that it's a great idea for people to send in stuff and post it, but there needs to be a gatekeeper. Otherwise, if everything is received and posted with equal value, I think you run the risk of turning off a lot of people if it's not screened. So if you don't have time, and I could imagine that to be the case, then we need to possibly figure out another process. But I'm reluctant to have it be a free-for-all where there are some people that are devoted to their ideas and are just really unsound.
So I think that I can make a place for those things to land.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
that way, anybody who's curious can take a look at that
Yeah.
on the OC.
Yeah,
And
we were going to have a library for everybody, and then a bulletin board for the task forces. If they have questions, they can post it to everybody. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't even think you need to break it into task forces. Because if we put educational material that applies to everybody and resources that anybody might find helpful, and we're controlling data so they can't post their syllabi and all that, it's coming to us. I don't have a problem with you having one source for everybody, for all 3 levels or 4 levels. It doesn't need to be broken down by task force. Now, I think the reason you were thinking that is they were going to just hold discussions together using a bulletin board feature, right? And that you wouldn't involve everybody.
right.
So if they need a private bulletin board, and that's not hard to do, I'm fine with that. I think a lot of people could also do it by email just to their teams, but whatever you think is best, I'm happy with.
We'll certainly have options, and then as the task force decides what they would prefer, they'll have choices.
Yeah.
Email, Zoom, an online repository. Hopefully, I'd like to not get to the end of the process and have somebody say, I had so much to share and nobody ever asked me. So that's what I want to be able to, all of us working together, make sure we cover enough bases so that nobody's going to maybe fault us for that. And I think too, it's great to start with conflict coaching and then move into the next years where things, the expertise level increases.
Yeah.
Not that this isn't important, but.
Okay, Max, can you run over the action items just so we all know what we're doing?
Yep, I have in the category of task force participation that Judy Dabler is going to ask her cohort. These are specifically identified non-certified conciliator candidates who are in the program to consider filling in some of the task forces possibly, and that discussion will happen. Jerry and Judy Steidel are going to reach out in person to the remaining task force people highlighted in pink to determine their eligibility to participate.
Actually, Judy's going to provide Jerry the data and Jerry can do it.
Okay, got it. Yep, so Jerry's going to reach out in person to those in pink. Judy Steidel is going to send an email blast to the certified network to consider joining the task force. And
send me a draft to look at.
Yep, and to work. And I said, and working with Jerry on the draft and sending to Judy Dabler for editing.
No, she's just working on the draft by herself.
Oh, okay.
Jerry's doing the pinks, Judy's doing the draft.
Okay, yep. Thank you.
Well, but we do know, Judy, that I will actually do the foundation and the draft and have no pride in you slashing anything that needs to be changed. So
I'm happy to do that. I'm a better editor than a writer anyway. So, okay, keep going, Max.
Yep. So from that task force participants, those are the 3 action items I have under that.
Christina's going to write the draft of the letter to the task force members.
Well, that's part of the next part. So the first part is bringing more into the task force. Then in the area of task force orientation and curricular work, Christina's agreeing to draft the task force welcome letter for delivery to the OC for finalizing so that ICCPs can publish the letter on their letterhead. Okay. Judy Dabler has asked the group to consider conducting the task force orientation goal in December in order to launch product development in January. And that also the discussion was for orientations to happen over Zoom video meetings to include a PowerPoint presentation and walkthrough of the document package that we were going to be using in product development.
Okay.
And that's in those categories.
And Max, can we ask you to do the PowerPoint draft for the orientation?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. And you should have pretty much all the information you need.
Yeah.
In all the stuff I sent you previously with the
from the conference. Yeah, from post conference, I have that.
And simple and short and fewest words possible.
Oh yes, and I'm going to flashing pictures and a diagram of ayahuasca and a small synopsis of how that actually works. Thank you, Bruce Meller, for providing the Wikipedia link to that. I knew you're contributing greatly to the process.
Ayahuasca?
He always was interested in psychedelics.
Yeah. And okay.
You went Carlos Castaneda's books.
Yeah. It's actually it began back then. Actually, it's a Castaneda.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking of rereading those.
Good luck on that. Also, in a separate topic, going up to the point is Judy Steidel is going to prepare to train the OC on Microsoft Teams and the Office 365 suite applications.
In our next meeting. In our next meeting. Yep.
And that's what I have so far.
Okay.
So I thought not to task anybody else because that seems unfair from China, but I thought there was also a conversation about kind of come up with a 1 sentence for each task force as a explanation description. Did I miss that?
Well, I think that's just the 8 category or the 9 categories, isn't it?
Yes. Right. So that will go in what I'm going to draft.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And so it's you know enough, Judy, to know that how to make it into a sentence, practice sessions, which are the the coaching sessions that'll be reviewed by a panel, coaching skills, how to, I think you know enough about what those things are. But if
I'm just going to do what I can. And then if I'm off the mark, you'll let me know. And if it's on the mark, it won't be too hard to.
Okay.
So I'll just do the best I can.
Yep. So I think we've covered everything on our agenda except the minutes, but I'm looking at it right now. The stakeholder IP agreement collection format. Okay. So I think Max had put on a question to clarify how we're going to collect things like their IP agreement. But I think that should just be the same flow of information, unless you think otherwise. Should we do a jot form on that where Judy takes responsibility for collecting it? Should they just sign it, scan it, email? We take responsibility for making sure it's collected. What makes the most sense for that?
I mean, we came up with we have the form, and I have that. We all received that as a PDF that, and I'm looking at it right now, that Matt signed. Where am I looking at that? Where participation? There it is. Actually, I have it in a Word document. So yeah, as a Word document with fill-in. So really, I'm open to any of that. There's lots of different ways to do that. I like, it's a lot of information in a jot form for just a filling in and a signing. As a captured as a closed, protected Microsoft Word form that just requires the date and the signature, I would recommend that as just an email attachment. However it's delivered, I think it should be due by the task force member the day prior to the orientation meetings, whenever they're scheduled to attend those.
Okay. Anybody else think differently?
I just think that whatever you can do to make it simple for somebody, because just like Jerry said, if it ends up in your email and it falls off your
So if we put,
we may have to have a lot of chasing. We don't want to do that.
right. So I think when the Zoom invite is sent for the task force orientation, we attach it there and say we need it back before give them a time. And if where there's enough time to chase them down if we have to, but say we need it back by 9 a.m. tomorrow and put the meetings at 1 p.m. If it's not there at 9, we start making calls. We also need, Max, not only that, but like a client registration type form where we get names, phone numbers, and email, so that with permission, I give permission that this be circulated with all task force members from my task force. So
yeah, that's a good catch. I think that's gosh, it sure just seems like that could be added quickly to the form, to the stakeholder agreement, right at the very beginning, and just can be just.
We better ask Matt about that, because that's a dual purpose for the form. I don't know if that's copacetic, but we could ask Matt if it's possible to add on a piece that says, since they have to sign it and date it, I give permission for people to contact me at this phone number and this email address.
Right.
So could you take care of asking Matt if that's possible?
Sure.
All right, good.
Yep.
All right. Anything else that you can think of? Oh, so the process, just have them send it back to you or something, and then you make sure it's all collected and then batch it to Judy. Then
right.
Judy stores it in their formal files.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I think that's probably the simplest. I don't mind tracking email collection at all. I can handle 35, whatever, how many ever people, 35, 40 people sending documents. That's not difficult.
Okay. Is that all right, Judy? And then he just sends you the signed forms and you store them and you have them on record?
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever works is fine.
I mean, and actually the way we have the form right now, I mean, I'll get with Matt, but right now I don't have his signature on there, but he could sign all of those documents.
I've got a PDF with his signature.
Oh yeah, we have that.
Yeah.
I just,
what I'm understanding, Max, is that you'd prefer to do it simply with a Word document or that PDF. I can change the PDF and add any piece to that if Matt says that that's fine, which I think it is.
yeah, if you want to, yeah, once we get the adjustment and make the tweak to the document, if you want to make that a PDF form that people can type in their name as an electronic signature into the form, and then the date comes up. I'm not.
Can you create editable PDFs, Judy? Do you have the software for that?
Yes, I do. But I also have the software for their signatures to be validated, and then that copy can actually be sent automatically to any person who's tracking that.
So if it goes to you, I don't know if you can do it. It puts another burden on you to make sure everything is done and communicating to Max with plenty of time before the task force says it seems burdensome for another person to do that. Is it possible to have them go to Max or to go to you and copy Max so he can also?
Yeah, it can go to everybody actually.
Okay.
And it's automated, so that's it. It actually comes in a spreadsheet form and then also a PDF form.
Okay. Why don't you make them set it, well, as soon as we find out from Matt if it's okay to add that, then if you want to, you can set it up so when they sign it, it goes to you and then Max, and that way he can track who's not complied.
Right. And Max, you and I can just be keeping track of who we're missing, and right. Together we can make sure we don't miss them.
Yep. Yeah. If rather than me go out to Matt, would you mind if it's okay, Judy? Judy Steidel, could you maybe just talk to Matt? We're only looking for the basic data info, name,
Max,
email address.
if it's okay, I'd rather you do it because we're putting too much on Judy.
Okay.
And I know you'll get it done in 30 seconds, and Judy's got a million things she's handling. So if you
got it, okay,
it'd just be better if you did it.
Yep.
Copy Judy on it, so that way she's got the email chain. But it's just for Max, it's 10 seconds. For you, I don't know if you're even taking notes, so I don't want to put something on you.
Dangerous. I'm living dangerously. Yeah, that's
Oh, we're recording it. We could just watch it for 2 hours again and capture it all again.
That's right. It's a prayerful process, isn't it? We're all doing exactly what we can do, and what we hope is the right way the first time through. But if not, I appreciate that we have a kindness about us and a camaraderie and prayer. So if we're among friends, it's all good.
All right, so I think the last thing on our agenda then is the minutes.
Well, minutes, and also maybe setting a date for the next.
Yep.
That's my calendar item about when I have to get my act together for the training for team.
As far as stakeholder platform, we got this decision. Everybody likes the flow of information chart, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay.
Okay.
Before we dive into the minute notes, can I read you this text from Matt that just came in?
Yep.
He wants to say hi to everyone, and also that God is good. He says, I'm at an American Bar Association ABA conference on mediation, talking to lawyers about Christian ADR.
Oh, great. Wow.
Good.
Okay.
Hopefully
Okay.
that's going well.
Yeah. Is he presenting there, or is he just connecting with people?
I'm not sure. I think he might be presenting with Harold Coleman. They
Oh,
did,
yeah, I think so.
they did at the CLS conference as well. So really some great doors are opening. Yeah.
That's great.
Okay. All right.
We're looking at the minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to take a second? We'll have discussion about our lives. Max requested consent to record. Now, Max, did you send out that recording after the last meeting?
What happened with that is it did batch, but it was incomplete because of a technical snafu. So it was our first attempt. This one is being recorded in its entirety, and then I will make sure that everybody has access to this recording. I'll get that done by Friday.
Okay. And then if you want to, if you have time, I know you've got a lot on your plate right now, but it probably wouldn't be bad if we sent out the minutes for this meeting so Paul know what we're doing.
I will send that out as well because I'm typing it right now. It won't take me long to finish. At least the draft.
Yeah.
Good job, Max. That's great. I'll be looking at that.
Okay. So we talked about the flow of information in this meeting. This meeting, we approved it. Judy shared about Microsoft Team. We talked about it. Our next meeting, she's going to teach us. We talked about the task force orientation training, which we're now jumping in with both feet. We talked about the stakeholder IP agreement. We adopted it. This meeting, we talked about how to structure it, and we'll know more when we hear from Matt. We adopted the minutes, scheduled the next meeting, and prayer requests. So anybody see any changes to last minute, September 6th?
No.
All right. Gone. They're all approved. Woohoo! Got it done. So now we need to pick our next meeting. So Bruce, to bring you up to speed, I think you heard the summary of who's doing what. So good being coming in after everybody divided up the work. I'm impressed with how you're pulling off retirement these days.
I am feeling totally bummed, like ripped off. I'm so sorry, people. We've just gone to daylight saving over here, and I've come up to my son's place in Cairns, and I got up at 4 o'clock to make sure that everything was set, like I had the time right, and checked it on my world clock, and still I'm wrong. So
no.
Is the world, because we checked it too when we didn't see you. So it shows 16 hours with Sydney, but it's not 16 anymore. Is that right?
I'm up in Cairns, which doesn't go onto daylight saving, so parts of Australia do and parts don't. And yeah, so I'm sorry, it wasn't intentional, and I guess I've mistakenly shown my lazy heart.
We're going to put a GPS chip on you so we know where you are. And then we will call you and say, look, this is exactly 14 hours or 18 hours. We're going to chip you, Bruce.
Well, this is where I was in Cairns. I was at the airport here last year when we had the first meeting, and I had to abandon ship because my phone wasn't that good at the airport.
Yeah.
So that was a year ago.
Good memory. Good memory.
Time flies. All right. So on the next meeting, because I would like to get the trainings done in December. That means I think we'll be doing some email stuff in between, because with Christina's draft letter and Judy's draft, we'll be jumping on that right away. So deadline for Christina's draft is, we're shooting for Friday, but it really is, if you could even do it by the 29th of October, that would be great. And Judy, same for you. Does that sound okay to have those as deadlines?
I'm teaching at a conference on the 26th and 27th. So if I could have a deadline, say the 29th or 30th.
Okay. Yep. Well, you want to say the 31st then?
Yes. Am I meeting you at 3 p.m. on the 31st? Or no meeting on the 31st?
No, we're going to actually set a meeting, but I think if we can get your APP done and Christina's draft done and send out the draft by email and then hear from Jerry on the pinks, on if he's able to recruit anymore. And let's do a lot of this with email. If we can do updates on email for everything we're doing, whether I can recruit some cohorts. If we can get the All Points Bulletin sent out by November 2nd, then that gives us 2 more weeks before Thanksgiving. So I think if we were to shoot for the week before Thanksgiving, like the 14th or 15th of November, I think we might be in good shape.
So just in summary, the pinks will be all set, and the email draft for the general CCC community will be due on the 31st.
Yep.
All right.
And then Jerry, on your pinks, if you could get them all contacted by the 9th and have an answer, we can update the task force list by the 12th. Because we have one more place to look for people, and that's the cohort, but I'll have that answer probably tomorrow or no later than, November 2nd. But if you could take even up to the 9th and get that information to us, we can update everything. And then we'll approve the letter through email. But our next meeting, I think, will be for Judy to orient us on the Microsoft thing. That should probably be our next thing. So we're aware of it. And then we'll talk about kickoff, orientation trainings, how we'll structure it. Max will have his PowerPoint done by the 9th, Max?
Sure, yeah.
Actually, since you and I will be in Kansas City working a mediation, maybe
Let's see, the 9, by the...
if you could have it by the 9th, we could that gives us time. Okay.
Yeah, yep.
So the 15th is a Thursday. And that's your Friday, Bruce. What does Thursday, the 15th of November look like for another OC meeting?
I am good as long as it's the earlier time so that I could be leaving by California time at 5.
Okay.
So it's fine for me.
Okay.
Good for me too.
Bruce, how does that look for you?
Works with me.
Pardon?
It works for me.
Okay. So the early time is 3 o'clock Pacific, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so that's the 14th.
No, the 15th, that Thursday, the 15th.
Wait a minute. I'm looking at December calendar.
6th November.
Yeah, we're talking November 15th.
All right. That would be my mistake there.
Because we're going to kick off trainings in December, because I have the whole month off, and I'd like to have a really tight presentation ready to go. So on the 15th, I think we should have 2 agenda items. One is Judy's training, and the other is a presentation of the orientation. We'll go over the orientation PowerPoint just to make sure it makes sense. But I think those should be our 2 agenda items.
3 p.m. I'm sorry here, I was on the wrong month. 3 p.m. on the 15th for Pacific time.
Yep.
All right.
Is it 3 p.m. or 2 p.m.?
3 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, what time does that would that put you, Bruce, in Sydney then?
Oh, that's easy. It's 9 a.m.
9 a.m. Okay, back at 9. Okay, great.
because I'll be in Sydney, so it's 6 hours difference.
Okay.
Oh, when do you, huh? What?
It's not West Coast, it's more than 6 hours.
No, we're talking Pacific time. My American wife is on the ball. When do you Americans leave daylight saving time?
November 4th.
November the 4th. So then we'll be 5 hours apart.
Right.
Is that
Okay,
right?
that makes 10 a.m. for me. That's easy.
10 a.m. Okay, yeah. Great. Unless you're Christina in Arizona, and then you don't do it at all. but she's not there, so she doesn't have to worry about it. Except China only has
Yeah.
only one time zone, so go
One
figure.
time zone, so I'll figure out what time that is. It's gonna be a crack of dawn, but that's okay. I'll just have lots of coffee.
Oh goodness.
So Bruce, just to do a quick update, I was saving the good news until you got on the line, but then I broke down and crumbled with my complete lack of willpower. And the good news is Robin passed all 3 exams.
Well done.
Yeah.
Give her my congratulations. Well done.
I will. Yeah, it's amazing and wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, how exciting for her.
Thank you for praying
She
for her.
wasn't feeling well for the last one. Well done.
I know it.
Wow.
Yep.
She's got quite a story there. I missed that when my technology failed, so I'm just hearing it for the first
Well,
time.
Robin gave me the credit publicly.
Oh, yeah.
I put her on that special study plan, a special diet, and a special exercise routine. So she showed up and we set our phones. We had like 14 alarms through the day. And the alarm would go off and it would direct her to the next activity. So we programmed, and it was very fun. So she lost 15 pounds. She got really muscular. And despite the stress at the end, she still, by God's grace, she pulled it out and did a great job. So that was fun.
Well done.
Congratulations.
So we didn't get to hear how you're doing before we go. How are you doing? We're all doing fairly well, but we want to know how you're doing.
I'm personally doing very well. We've come to Cairns for a week. This is the first time I feel like I've actually retired. Last week I got 2 days in my workshop to do the things that I want to do, and we're on the back end of all that Victorian nonsense.
Yeah.
So from here on, Lorraine gets her knees replaced on the 21st of November.
Oh,
But that's going to be demanding. That means I'm confined to barracks,
yep. Yeah.
looking after her, which is a privilege.
Uh-huh.
But I'm happy. I'm fine. I'm enjoying life and trying to find time to read and write,
Yeah. Well,
among other things.
good. So when her knees are done, how are you going to keep up with her?
Do you think I can now?
Yeah.
She's always 3 steps ahead.
The running shoes.
Then we'll work on the feet and the hips, all of which need repairs. Whoops, she's listening. And she's laughing. It's okay.
Hey, Lorraine, miss you.
She said, "Hey, Lorraine, miss you."
Hey, Judy.
Come
Love
on,
you.
come and show your pretty face.
Howdy there. Good to see you. This is the gang. This is the oversight committee.
Oh, that's not.
I loving having Bruce involved, but we know where the real brains are behind the beauty. So the brains of the beauty, that's you. Well,
I don't know about the brains, but the bossiness is there.
Well, we will be praying because it's November. What day?
21. That'll be your 20th.
All right. I'm
No,
gonna
your
be praying.
22nd. Your 20th. Your 20th.
I'm going for the double go.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely be praying. Everybody, if you ever get to go to Sydney, you got to go stay with Bruce. I'm just saying, I get so spoiled rotten that I just come back and I'm insufferable for even more than normal. And it's all because of Lorraine.
Oh, well, you're always welcome.
They have a great bathtub
Take care.
that I get in for 2 hours and I hear them talking in the living room. You think she's okay? You think she's okay? Go knock on the door. Let's see. And then and I survived the 2-hour bath. So thanks, Lorraine. See you. All righty. Good meeting, folks. We're almost there. Soon it'll happen. We're going to get there.
Quick clarification on I dropped the deadline that Judy Steidel was going to draft the email blast to send to you, Judy Dabler. When was that discussed?
October 31st.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think I got the rest of them.
Christina, is everything okay there in China?
You know, we're doing well. I was just telling everybody else, I wish I had a little bit more sun. We don't see the sun. We've had like 3 partial Sundays and 50. So we'll be very happy to be back in blue sky like that.
When are you getting back
But
to?
it's an interesting experience. New Year's Eve.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Could you email? I'd love to hear more about what you're doing and be able to pray for you. So maybe email.
I will send you an
Oh,
email.
good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we can sure use it. I will do that this afternoon. Thank you. And I need to go.
Judy, can you pass that round?
Yes.
I'll
Yes.
send it to everybody.
Oh,
I'll send
good.
it to
That's
Good on
everybody. Yeah, I'll send
Thanks,
it to everybody.
Christina.
Sure. It's not that exciting.
Nah,
It's not every
Nothing
day.
done in the Lord's name is done in vain.
So.
Not every day. Some tree and doing.
Well, thank you. I actually have to get off though because my boys are waiting for me to do.
All right.
school
Well,
this
we're at
morning,
that
so-
prayer time. So we're just,
Thank
you
you.
head off. We'll pray for you.
I will. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bruce, how about you
Excellent.
pray for us and close us?
Oh God, our Father, we thank you for your kindness and mercy to us. We thank you for the wonders of technology that you allow us to get together, though we're scattered all over the globe. Father, what a wonderful thing you're doing. How greatly you prepare to have the message of Jesus' love and peace spread throughout the world. We thank you, Lord God, for the army of servants that you raise up for yourself, especially the increasing army of servants outside of Western countries. And we pray that the gospel of peace might be known far and wide. Father, what we do might be small and might be hidden and largely unknown, but it's not unknown to you. And so we pray for your blessing on each of us as individuals and on all of those who now carry assignments from this meeting. Please grant that our work might be productive, and please grant that we might have a full complement of labourers, co-labourers, to serve with us in the development of the new curriculum. Grant there might be great enthusiasm about that, Lord God, and not just enthusiasm at the beginning, but enthusiasm that will endure and bring forth a good result so that more and more people might become ever better equipped to be servants of the Lord Jesus and his reign of kingly peace. We pray for your blessing on each of us now in health, in kindness, and in charity for Jesus' sake. Amen.
amen.
And
Hey,
thank you.
Bruce, you have a few minutes to catch up on a couple things?
Yep.
All right. We'll say goodbye to all y'all.
Okie doke.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.